Hello, my name is Ryan Rikozeski, and I'm a McCausland Faculty Fellow at the University of South Carolina. I would like to share my fascination in understanding the changes that occur in ocean ecosystems and how these changes influence the quantity of fish that we can draw from the ocean's depths. Wild-caught seafood from our world's oceans is the main source of animal protein for more than 1 billion people. Marine fisheries contribute more than $230 billion to the global economy and support the livelihoods of about 10% of the human population. The importance of fisheries to human diets and economies is particularly prominent in the world's developing countries, where alternate sources of animal protein are limited. While many industries can increase production to meet a growing demand, continued increases in production are not possible for wild fisheries. Since the late 1980s, the annual landings of wild-caught fish has plateaued at about 90 million metric tons per year. Many stocks have been fished to their maximum limit, while others have been harvested beyond sustainable levels. We are facing a global crisis in ocean fisheries, as demand for fish is projected to increase with growth of the human population in coming decades. Now, if managing fish populations required only that we assess the numbers of fish in the ocean and limit their catch to sustainable levels, fisheries management would be relatively straightforward. Managing fish populations would be akin to forestry or ranching, where the available harvest can be easily projected given the demographics of the exploited population. However, the ocean is a dynamic environment with variability in patterns of circulation, distribution of heat, and gradients in physical and biological properties that, in many ways, mirror the complexities of weather patterns in the atmosphere, but with timescales of variability that are slower. Fish populations are sensitive to such changes, just like crops on land are sensitive to drought or heat waves. The productivity of a fish population can change dramatically from year to year or decade to decade in response to oceanographic properties. For example, conditions might favor the growth of highly valuable salmon populations for a period of 25 years in one region, but some shift in conditions might reduce salmon populations rather suddenly and instead promote the growth of shrimp. A third shift in conditions years later might favor the growth of squid or jellyfish. Such changes in the marine environment can have severe implications for the commercial fisheries and societies that depend on marine resources. And these changes pose significant challenges to resource managers and fisheries oceanographers. We have an incomplete understanding of the factors that stimulate rearrangements of the ocean food web, but we know that changes in temperature, nutrient supply, oxygen, and carbon dioxide can impact the composition and distribution of species that are important prey and predators of fish. Changes in the productivity of microscopic algae at the base of the food web and variation in the composition of species can alter the flow of carbon through ocean food chains. But the ways in which these food chains are rearranged are not easily predicted. More complete understanding is limited by the sparse collection of data in the marine environment. While scientists and fishermen have been collecting information on the distribution and abundance of species that are targeted for consumption for several decades now, we have inadequate records of non-target species, like the smaller fish and invertebrates that act as prey for the tuna, salmon, and cod that we see at the market. Collection of data concerning the physical properties of the ocean are more comprehensive and have improved markedly in the last 2 decades. However, the relatively short historical duration of such data and changes in methodology limits our ability to easily relate changes in fisheries to variability in ocean physics and biogeochemistry. This is where numerical models of the ocean and ecosystem dynamics can make critical contributions to fisheries management and our understanding of the interactions between ocean physics and biology. By utilizing the fundamental equations of motion, oceanographers have built computer models that simulate fluid dynamics of the ocean and atmosphere. Although these models were initially designed to explore the response of global circulation to changes in atmospheric concentrations of greenhouse gases, improvements in computer technology have permitted the development of more complex models that include simulation of basic chemical and biological processes in the ocean. With these computer simulations of changing ocean conditions and basic biological processes, we are no longer restricted to using relatively short observational records to draw weak conclusions about the mechanisms that drive variability in ocean ecosystems. By carefully investigating computer simulations of ocean processes and comparing these simulations against observed data, we can test long-standing hypotheses concerning how ocean ecosystems respond to changing ocean conditions. The combination of observational data and model simulations continues to reshape our view of how ocean ecosystems function. This new approach allows us to explore variability in fish populations, not only during the historical period, but also under future climate scenarios. Let me give you one example. The most valuable regions of our world's oceans, at least in terms of fisheries production, are found off the west coast of the major continents. Off the west coast of North America, we have an area known as the California Current ecosystem. Likewise, for areas off South America, Western Europe, and Southern Africa, we find the Humboldt, Canary, and Benguela Current. Because of their similar latitudinal positions on our planet and their location relative to these major land masses, these ecosystems have remarkably similar characteristics. Winds in the atmosphere are persistent in these regions, blowing alongshore towards the equator. The action of these winds on the ocean forces deep waters to be brought towards the ocean surface, fueling immense levels of biological production and supporting the largest commercially harvested fish populations in the world. Changes in the productivity of these ecosystems can have significant impacts on global seafood markets. The potential response of these ecosystems to future climate change has been a matter of scientific debate for several decades. Changes in the intensity of the critical winds that drive the supply of nutrient-rich waters have the potential to alter global fish production. A long-standing but qualitative hypothesis posed in the 1990s suggested that winds in these four ecosystems would intensify in response to global warming, as the temperature contrast between the coastal ocean and the adjacent landmass would increase the gradient in atmospheric pressure, driving stronger winds. However, recent work in my laboratory group used mathematical models to show that the future of winds in these ecosystems is more nuanced. The wind patterns that drive productivity in these systems are expected to shift towards the poles, not intensify uniformly as previously hypothesized. Our result has important implications for the spatial distribution of fish stocks in these critical ecosystems. My current work continues to explore how past and future changes in climate processes influence marine fish populations around the world. This summer, I will be working with colleagues at the University of Tokyo to compare the responses of different anchovy species to climate change. By combining understanding of biological and physical processes with the latest observational and modeling techniques, I hope to provide new insight to the dynamics of commercial fish populations. This knowledge will facilitate improved management that I hope will ensure food security and ecosystem health for our growing human population. I am honored to be a McCausland Faculty Fellow and grateful to Peter and Bonnie McCausland. The recognition of my research and mentorship activities by USC's College of Arts and Sciences gives me confidence that my efforts are valued by the university. My plan is to use the support provided by the fellowship to increase the participation of my undergraduate and graduate students in national and international oceanographic conferences. Exposure to and interaction with the global oceanographic community is really what helped me recognize that the questions I was pursuing as a student were worthwhile. And the connections with colleagues that I established as a student have grown into fruitful collaborations. The McCausland Faculty Fellowship will help me provide my students with the same opportunity, and I appreciate the support of the McCauslands and the College of Arts and Sciences.